are you ready? Windies in the land of put up your hand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to On Tour, the West Indies versus Pakistan, Day 2, Test 1. And the Windies will be feeling somewhat satisfied after a big fight on day number 2. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, the West Indies limited Pakistan to 217. They finished day 2 on 251 for 8. It's the first time in about 4 or 5 innings that they actually got to 200 runs. Let's have a look at the scorecard. Craig Brathwaite falling short, literally, what should have been another Test century. He made 97, batted extremely well, 221 balls, 12 fours, and led the West Indies after some very good partnerships, especially with the former captain and his very good friend Jason Holder, who made 58. We also saw some very useful partnerships with Jermaine Blackwood, who I thought gave it away for 22, Roston Chase 21, and then Joshua De Silva is unbeaten there on 20. A look at the bowling and how the Pakistan bowlers did. It was a day for Mohammad Abbas, 3 for 42. He had 2 the previous day, though, so only 1 on day 2. And then Shaheen Shah Afridi, 2 for 59. And 1 apiece there to Fahim Ashraf and Hassan Ali. So all told then, 251 for 8 represents a lead of 34 runs by the West Indies. Let's go straight to the panel. Let's start first of all with Sir Clive Lloyd. Sir Clive, how happy were you with the West Indies batting performance on day 2?
Oh, I was ecstatic, really. The point is that it was such a wonderful day's cricket. We started, with 2 down, but the captain played an epic innings. I thought that was Craig Brathwaite at his best. And he was ably supported by Chase and the ex-captain Jason Holder, who batted very well. And I think they complemented each other in the sense that what was up to Craig, it was a drive for Jason. So the point is, and what was a drive for Jason, Craig could play on the back foot. And, they really did extremely well. They batted intelligently, and they are 2 intelligent guys, there's no doubt about that. They do know the game, and they know a lot about batting. So it was pleasing to see West Indies, bat so well. Although they were under the cosh for, early on yesterday when they lost those 2 wickets. But it was pleasing to see that we can attune ourselves to Test cricket, and I now see why they did so well in Bangladesh, because it's nearly the same situation. The application, the concentration, and the reading of the game was quite good. And you have to give a lot of credit to the Pakistani bowlers. They were right there all the time. They played and missed, but the guys didn't worry about that. And they now have a lead of 30 odd. If they can get to anything over 50, that gives them a chance of doing well. Because the best day to bat in Jamaica is probably on the second day. Have a little bit more pace. It's much truer. And don't forget they have to cut the grass again on the 3rd day. So I think so far the West Indies are in the ascendancy. If these 2 players can just add another 20 or 30, or the last couple of batsmen, anything over 50 as a lead puts them in a very, very good position. It was a great day's play to watch, and I'm very pleased, and of the way they applied themselves.
Johnny Barron, would Pakistan be disappointed seeing that, 2 for 2 overnight? We were saying that the pitch looked like it would fancy the bowlers, but that was not to be. How disappointed would Pakistan be, Johnny Barron?
I think they bowled well. I think they bowled well all the way through the course of the day. There was, I think, a couple of key moments, really. I mean, that 38th over is probably the biggest talking point. Jermaine Blackwood punted one to mid-on of Shaheen Afridi. He went, and as you mentioned before, a bit of an injudicious shot. Then Carl Mayers went first ball. And then 2 balls later, probably the key moment of the day was Jason Holder adjudged LBW, but turned over on reprieve. That was a critical moment, of course, with Holder going on to get 50 and giving Craig Brathwaite that able support. But other than that, I thought Pakistan bowled really well. One thing I was really impressed with that is actually that the West Indies never let Yasir Shah settle. He went for 4 runs and over all the way through, and he was wicketless. That was absolutely brilliant. I think a brilliant day for the West Indies, but I think Pakistan, to be fair, bowled pretty well.
Tino, we've seen Craig Brathwaite on a number of occasions in his career get in the 90s. I mean, he did it in Australia. He did it in England. He did it against South Africa already. Now here against Pakistan. Does he tend to get a bit overexcited and lose somewhat concentration when he gets deep into the 90s?
Well, Barry, having had the experience of getting out in the 90s.
Yeah, you would know. You would know.
Look, honestly, it's just a bit of the nerves, obviously, but Craig batted beautifully. It's one of his better innings given the circumstances and the nature of the pitch and against the opposition as well, Barry. I thought Pakistan bowled beautifully. The technology saved West Indies in terms of Jason Holder not overturning that LBW decision. I think that was going to spell disaster for West Indies, Barry. And look, thank God that they was overturned, and Jason and Craig batted beautifully. Look, Craig Brathwaite, look, those things are going to happen when you're a batsman and you're going to get in the 90s. You just got to forget about it and just move on to the next innings. But he batted beautifully today, Barry. You've got to give credit where credit is due. He led from the front brilliantly.
What do you think when you look at Craig's batting, Sir Clive? What do you think has improved about his batting? He got a century earlier against Sri Lanka. Didn't do well against South Africa, but who did? What do you think has improved with Craig Brathwaite's batting?
I think he's probably playing the ball a little later than he did. He tends to push the bat away from his body, and he gets caught at slip. Today he was covering it very well, and his concentration span was very good. And I'm dying to see some of those other young players sort of emulate him. It doesn't matter if you get beat. The bat is beaten a couple of times. You just, the next ball is the one that you worry about. And I'd like to see somebody getting some runs, either in the second innings or in the next Test match. I'm waiting to see a new player, sort of, emerging from this new Test team.
John, you said that Pakistan bowled well, but I challenge you on this. Where and who was the best bowler on the day? Who did that magical spell that they were looking for come from, in your opinion?
I think because Craig Brathwaite was so brilliant through the course of the day, he didn't really allow, if you like, Pakistan to have that magical spell. That Shaheen Afridi over could have been 3 wickets. West Indies could have lost 3 wickets with the score on 100. That would have radically changed, you feel, the course of the day. But just by a millimetre, on review, as we've mentioned a couple of times, that ball was deemed to have pitched outside leg stump. That could have been a massive moment in the day. But otherwise, I just felt they were pretty consistent. If you look at maps through the course of the day, they bowled a heavy length. They bowled a good length. I don't think we could be too critical. I think Mohamed Abbas, picking up his 3rd wicket later in the piece, I thought he was absolutely superb. He, of course, got 16 wickets on Pakistan's last tour here back in 2017, and also bowled brilliantly for Hampshire earlier on the domestic summer over here. So overall, I just feel that it was a team effort, and that Shaheen Afridi over, the 38th, that was the turning point that wasn't quite to be for them.
Yeah, we look back at that 38th over. That was indeed a critical turning point. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to focus in and talk a little bit about Jason Holder. He's billed as the top 2 all-rounders in the world, but has he been living up to that? And did that play on his mind when he came out to bat on Friday? When we come back on tour.
It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up. It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up.
So So welcome back to the program. Of course, West Indies resuming on 251 for 8. It's lead of just 34 runs. Pakistan 217. Let me go to Tino Best. Tino, look, we've had a situation with Jason Holder where he has been billed as one of the best all-rounders in the world. He had that top billing. Ben Stokes took over. Ben is now having, of course, his self-imposed rest. But do you think that Jason Holder has been living up to the billing as the top test all-rounder, one of the best test all-rounders? Do you think his batting has really been that consistent enough to be considered such? And did that weigh on his mind when he came out to bat? Your thoughts on Jason Holder?
Well, I think that, he was playing a lot of cricket, Barry. He was playing T20, 50 over and test cricket in the last year or so. He spoke seriously about mental health and the challenges that imposed on him. And we have to be very sympathetic in terms of how we look at players nowadays. Living in a bubble life is very tough. Look at Ben Stokes, who's supposed to be the top all-rounder in the world. He has taken a break. So I don't think that it was playing on Jason. Jason had a good break in terms of understanding what he has to do. He remains one of our better, if not our best cricketer in terms of bowling and batting. And he showed it today, Barry. His temperament, his shot selection, the way that he understands the game. He's always been a cricketer with a very high IQ. And it showed today beautifully. He's catching back that form, Barry. And I don't think that young man is under any pressure in terms of that status of being the best all-rounder. I think he wants to be the best cricketer he can be for the people of the West Indies. I think that's something that he cherished tremendously. And losing the captaincy have hurt him a lot. I can tell you that. And every time he gets the opportunity for West Indies, he gives 100%. And you can see it, Barry. Look at the temperament today. Sir Clive spoke about showing the world what we are made of yesterday. And I can tell you, them boys probably was listening to the program, especially Jason and Craig, because the way that they came out, the way they left the deliveries, they didn't, even though they were being beaten, they did not go outside the off stump to edge the ball. I thought in the end, Jason got a good delivery, so you got to give the bowler credit for that. But I thought that he batted marvelously, and he's catching back that form. That is how we know and how we have looked and seen Jason play cricket in the last 5 to 6 years. He is a top cricketer, Barry, and you can't take that away from him.
Sir Clive, not much more to add to that, but I want to challenge you, Sir Clive, about our vice-captain, Jermaine Blackwood, and I also want to talk to you about Kyle Mears. Jermaine Blackwood continues to be very chancy, does not suggest permanence at the crease. You tend to have your heart in your hand when he's batting, to tell the truth. And while we talk about him, we also want to look at Kyle Mears. Have we given Jack his jacket too quickly as a batsman? Your thoughts on those two batsmen, Sir Clive Lloyd? You're the best to talk about those two.
Well, before I get to that, I want to say something about Jason too. Jason is probably one of the finest slip fielders in the world. Nothing passes him. He catches pigeons, as they say in Lancashire. And the point is that he is one of the finest slip fielders we have. And we can't take that away from him if you look at the amount of catches he's taken. The other thing about I find it very strange that you should have Jermaine Blackwood as vice captain and you have Jason there. And you have Roach. These are senior guys and they understand the game. I don't think we should have given that burden to that young man. And I think too, he's got to, if he continues to play on this side, he's got to produce a lot more. He's giving his wicket away. He's not making it a sort of premium wicket of such. You know, I think a test wicket is something that you don't give away. It's too difficult. It's too hard. It should be hard. We have to make it very difficult to get my wicket. And I think that Blackwood, we gave him that burden, and I don't think he's up to it at the moment when you have so many other senior guys in the side. But he's got to produce a lot more, else I think somebody else will take his place.
And Mears?
Did I miss a player? Kyle Mears? Well,
Kyle Mears,
yeah, he's young, he's new. And I was very impressed the way he batted in the second innings against South Africa. He looked good, played the pace very well. But I think, he's got to get more games in, the longer games, play more 4-day games, because this guy's made a double hundred in a test match, and that stands for something. He's probably a very, very good player. I think he is, and but you have to give him a chance. And he's a terrific bowler. He bowls a good line, and he can hold an end for you. And yes, I think he's got a very good future, and I'll be very disappointed if he doesn't do well.
Johnny, did the captain, I'm talking about Babar Azam now, did he take too long to introduce the spin? Because you would have thought that the spin would have been a key weapon for the Pakistanis, but it didn't look to me like it was any sort of a threat. Your thoughts on how Babar Azam captained his troops?
Yeah, tricky one. Yasir Shah gone if you go on reputation, 25 wickets last time he was here in 2017. He got a little bold, didn't he, the tail end of the first day, and did take a while to be introduced today. The thing is, when he did get introduced, the West Indies were brilliant at really making sure he never settled. Going at 4 runs and over. Bear in mind the average scoring rate in this game thus far has been about 2.5, 2.8. Maybe up to 3 runs and over. So perhaps he could have been used in that first session when the ball was a little bit harder. But to be honest, I thought West Indies coped with him extremely well yesterday.
And Tino, when I come down the order and I look at the Roston Chases, I look at the Joshua De Silva still has a very key role to play. How key is he going to be on day 3 when he starts? Because he is batting with a tail ender. Is he going to have to perhaps try and up the tempo, because there's not much time now to try and solidify himself?
Look, Warwick can bat, Barry. Warwick has shown that he can bat at the first class level. He just needs to be selective with his shots and just continue to build a partnership. Craig Brathwaite said something that was very important. Even if you don't make runs in that first hour or so, you need to be there. You need to bat that hour out. And I think that's going to play a very mental role in our players in the West Indian boys in terms of when they get the opportunity to bowl. But that first hour, get as many runs as you can, bat time. And if you can get a lead of 50, 60, I think that puts West Indies in a very good position, a position of power. Not a big, strong position, because the game still have a lot of time. But it does give the West Indies bowlers that confidence. And I think once they remain disciplined when they come out to bowl again with a lead of 50 or 60 and get 2 or 3 wickets before Pakistan can build a lead again, I think West Indies can put themselves in the driving seat of this test match.
Wonderful stuff. All right, when we come back on tour, we're going to hear from you. Of course, you're a very big part of the program. That's the number for the cricket chat. You can send us your WhatsApps. You can send us a voice note or a very, very short video giving us your thoughts on the day's play. That's the number there on screen. Please, of course, continue to send us your stuff. When we come back, we'll hear, of course, from you, and also we'll tap in on the field and see what the players are saying leading into day 3.
It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up. It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up.
Welcome back then. Before we hear from you, the fans, let's hear what the captain, Craig Brathwaite, had to say.
We have 2 wickets remaining, and there's no reason why we can't put on another 50 runs. Right. It won't be easy, but if we could start in the morning, first hour, even if we don't score runs, but we spend the hour, that would be crucial. But I think from a bowling point of view, whenever we come again, we just got to be disciplined, and for long periods, not just, let me say, for the first session. I think once we're disciplined throughout, throughout the day or throughout the amount of hours we have to bowl, I think that's the key.
Well done, Craig. Sorry you didn't get those 3 runs. However, let's turn now the attention to the fans. This is a voice note from Jamaica.
Good evening, panel. Good evening. I like your comment at the first test match in Jamaica. Trust me, wonderful. Tina Best. Well, I know, yes, man. Mr. Allied, respect, sir. I like the test match. It's a nice test match, sir. Bless up. Even if I want to work and then put on your damn bat, then we bat. The ball still move round. Yes, hold on your damn bat. Nice test match. We know have a wonderful day. I like one of the thing when I go with it nice. Yes, man. The panel, nice comment, nice explanation. I'm love one I go with. And I bless up on yourself. What not say that.
Thank you so much. Let's take in this WhatsApp message. This message is coming from Trinidad and Tobago. It says, good morning. My name is Kelvin from Trinidad. Shamar Brooks scored 134. While both Cornwall and Permaul got 7 wickets in the best of the best match, none of them made the final 13. Yet Warwickon is selected and bowls just 1 over. What does this say for West Indies cricket? A very good question, I think. Tino, tackle that for me. Warwickon, under-bowled, and the men who got wickets in the best of the best not played. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's how selection goes nowadays. I think that at the end of the day, it's all about who can complement who in the team and the squads. So I think that WhatsApp should be sent to Roger Harper.
Very cheeky, Tino. Very, very cheeky. All right, gentlemen, let's sum up, or perhaps let's look forward to day 3. 30 seconds from you, the Honourable Sir Clive Lloyd. The West Indies, what can they do now to try and get a bigger lead in 30 seconds?
Well, I think this young man, De Silva's batting quite well. And if Warwickon can stay with him for the first half an hour, if we don't lose any wickets, and we can get to a lead of over 50, we'd have done very well. Anything over that, it would be a bonus. And the way they're playing, and I think the captain the captain showed them the way, and it's quite obvious that they will want to emulate what he's done. And I think at the moment the West Indies are, ahead, but they could be in a better position if they can bat for another hour and a bit tomorrow. But I'm very unfortunate too that the captain did not get that century because he deserved it. He batted intelligently. He played, it was a captain's innings. He led from the front. And I hope he continues to do so in the future.
Johnny Barron, in 30 seconds, what can Pakistan do to perhaps salvage their way back into this game?
I think for them, the key thing is to minimise that lead, isn't it? It's 34 at the moment. West Indies will be looking to build that up in the first hour. If they can go beyond that would be riches indeed. One key thing to consider here is that the average fourth innings score at Sabana Park is only 146. Chasing will not be easy. You feel that Yasir Shah as well will come into the match in that fourth innings as well. I think he took 8 wickets last time in 2017. You feel he'll be a real threat. West Indies ahead, but only just.
Wow, I think we're setting up for what should be a very enthralling finish. Tino Best, I know you don't usually talk for 30 seconds, but make it happen this time.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, West Indies need to build on the lead. If they can get 50 runs lead, I think that gives the bowlers the confidence to go out there and try to get some wickets with that new ball. As Johnny said, the chasing in Jamaica in the fourth innings is 146. So really and truly, you need to limit Pakistan lead in the third innings of this game. So good luck to the boys tomorrow.
Wonderful stuff. All right, time for some cricket. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Tino Best, Johnny Barron, and Sir Clive Lloyd. This has been On Tour. We'll be back after the match. Enjoy day 3. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Bye-bye for now.
Jump up, people, are you